ሰላም ጤና ይስጥልን ተመልካቾቼ፣ ዛሬ በሚካሄደው የ5000 ሜትር የወንዶች ማጣሪያ ውድድር ከ20 ደቂቃ በኋላ ይጀምራል። የዛሬው የከሰዓት የመጀመሪያው ውድድር የሚሆነው የ5000 ሜትር የወንዶች የማጣሪያ ውድድር ይሆናል። በዚህም ውድድር ላይ ኢትዮጵያውያን ይሳተፋሉ። አንድ በአንድ ሩጫው እስከሚጀምር ድረስ እነማን እንደሆኑ በአመቱ ውስጥ ምን አምጥተው ነው እዚህ ውድድር ላይ የተሳተፉት የሚለውን እናያለን። የደረጃ ሰንጠረዡንም እናያለን። ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ ስንተኛ ላይ እንዳለች እና ቀጣይ ውድድሮችን ደግሞ እናያለን ማለት ነው። አብራችሁን ሁኑ። በዚህ መሰረት ወደ ደረጃ ሰንጠረዡ ስንሄድ ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ እንግዲህ በዚህ ውድድር ላይ የአንድ ወርቅ፣ የሶስት ብር እና የሁለት ነሐስ ባለቤት ሆና በ6 በአጠቃላይ ሜዳሊያ ከዓለም አራተኛ ደረጃ ላይ ትገኛለች። ዩኤስኤ በዚህ ውድድር ላይ አንደኛ ነች። ለተለመደው ባጫጭር ውድድሮች እና እኛ በማንሳተፍባቸው ውድድሮች ብዙ ወርቆችን አግኝታለች ዩኤስኤ። በአሁኑ ሰዓት ዩኤስኤ በ7 ወርቅ፣ በ4 ብር፣ በ3 ነሐስ አጠቃላይ በ14 ሜዳሊያ አንደኛ ነች ከዓለም። ስፔን አስገራሚ ነው። የስፔን ቡድን 4 ወርቅ አግኝቷል። ዛሬ ጠዋት 2 ወርቅ ነው ያገኘው በ35 ኪሎ ሜትር የእርምጃ ውድድር። በ4 ወርቅ ሁለተኛ ነች። ግሬት ብሪቴን እና አየርላንድ በ2 ወርቅ፣ በ1 ብር እና በ1 ነሐስ በአጠቃላይ በ4 ሜዳሊያዎች ሶስተኛ ነች። ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ እንግዲህ በ1 ወርቅ፣ በ3 ብር እና በ2 ነሐስ በጉዳፍ ጸጋይ ወርቅ እና በ3 ነሐስ በ3 ብር እና በ2 ነሐስ በአጠቃላይ በ6 ሜዳሊያ አራተኛ ነች ማለት ነው። እንግዲህ በቀጣይ በሚመጡት ውድድሮች ላይ ከዚህ የተሻለ ውጤት እንደምታመጣ ይጠበቃል። ዛሬ በሚካሄደው ውድድር እንግዲህ የዛሬ ከሰዓቱ የመጀመሪያው ውድድር የሚሆነው የ5000 ሜትር የማጣሪያ ውድድር ይሆናል። እንግዲህ ትናንት አንድ አትሌታችን ቅሬታውን ሲያሰማ ነበረ። ቡዳፔስት ድረስ ሄዶ እዚህ ውድድር ላይ እንደማይሳተፍ እንደተነገረውና ሶሻል ሚዲያ ላይ መጥቶ ቅሬታውን ማቅረቡ ይታወሳል። እንግዲህ እስኪ እኛን ከሚወክሉን አትሌቶች መካከል ምን አይነት ሰዓት አምጥተው ነው እዚህ ውድድር ላይ የተሳተፉት ሚኒማቸውን እናያለን ማለት ነው። በአመቱ ያሳዩትን ውጤት ማለት ነው። በዚህ ውድድር ላይ በመጀመሪያው ምድብ ሀጎስ ገብረ ህይወት አለ። ሀጎስ ገብረ ህይወት ፐርሰናል ቤስቱ የግል ሰዓቱ 12:42:18 ሮጦታል። የዚህ ሲዝን ቤስቱም በዘንድሮ ዓመት የሮጠው 12:42:18 ነው። ከዓለም ራንክ በደረጃ ሰንጠረዡ 10ኛ ላይ ነው የሚገኘው ሀጎስ ገብረ ህይወት ግን የተሻለ ሰዓት ያለው ይመስላል። ከሱ የተሻለ 9 አትሌቶች አሉ በዘንድሮ ዓመት ማለት ነው። ሌላኛው በሁለተኛው ምድብ ላይ በሪሁ አረጋዊ አለ። በሪሁ አረጋዊ 12:40:45 ፐርሰናል ቤስቱ ነው። 12:40:45 ሲዝን ቤስቱ ነው። በዚህ ዓመት ነው የሮጠው። ይህንን 12:40:45ቱ ማለት ነው። እንግዲህ አንደኛ ነው ከዓለም ወርልድ ራንኪንጉ አንደኛ ነው በዘንድሮ ዓመት ባስመዘገበው ውጤት። እንግዲህ እዚህ ውድድር ላይ ከሚጠበቁት አትሌቶች መካከል አንደኛ ነው። በዚህ ዓመት ከዓለም ራንኪንግ አንደኛ ላይ ነው ያለው። እንግዲህ የተሻለ ውጤት ያመጣል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። ሌላኛው ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ ነው። ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ 12:41:73 የግል ሰዓቱ ነው። ሲዝን ቤስቱ በዚህ ዓመት የሮጠው 12:41:75 ነው። ሲዝን ቤስቱ እሱም አሪፍ ሰዓት አለው። ከዓለም ሰንጠረዥ 6ኛ ላይ ነው የሚገኘው ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ። እንግዲህ የተሻለ ሰዓት ያላቸውን አትሌቶች የመረጡ ይመስላል የኢትዮጵያ አትሌቲክስ ፌዴሬሽን። ግን የተለያዩ ቅሬታዎችን እየሰማን እንገኛለን። አሁን ውድድሩ ሊጀመር የቀረው 20 ደቂቃ ነው። የመጀመሪያ ውድድር የሚሆነው የ5000 ሜትር የወንዶች የማጣሪያ ውድድር ነው። በዚህም በ3 አትሌቶች እንወከላለን። በሀጎስ ገብረ ሕይወት፣ በበሪሁ አረጋዊና በዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ እንወከላለን። እንግዲህ መልካም እድል እንመኛለን። ሰዓታቸው እንግዲህ እንደሚያመለክተው በሪሁ አረጋዊ ከዓለም አንደኛ ነው በዚህ ዓመት 12:40:45 ነው የሮጠው በዚህ ዓመት እና ከሚጠበቁት አትሌቶች መካከል በሪሁ አረጋዊ ነው። ካለው ሰዓት አንጻር እስኪ በዚህ ዓመት እና አጠቃላይ ያስመዘገቡትን ውጤት እንይ። ሀጎስ ገብረ ሕይወት ይባላል። 29 ዓመቱ ነው። አንድ ጊዜ የዳይመንድ ሊግ አሸናፊ ነው። አንድ ጊዜ የብር ሜዳሊስት ወርልድ ሻምፒዮን ነው። አንድ ጊዜ ኦሎምፒክ የነሐስ ሜዳሊያ አሸናፊ ነው። አንድ ጊዜ ደግሞ የነሐስ ሜዳሊያ ወርልድ ሻምፒዮን ላይ አግኝቷል። ሀጎስ ገብረ ሕይወት እንግዲህ ካሉት አትሌቶች የተሻለ ልምድ ያለውና ለረጅም ጊዜ ሀገሩን ሲወክል የነበረ አትሌት ነው። ለረጅም ጊዜ እናውቀዋለን አብዛኞቻችን። በዘንድሮ ዓመት ሀጎስ ገብረ ሕይወት 12:42:18 ሮጦታል 5000 ሜትሩን። ከዓለም 10ኛ ላይ ነው የሚገኘው ሀጎስ ገብረ ሕይወት። ሌላኛው በሪሁ አረጋዊ ነው። በሪሁ አረጋዊ 10000 ሜትር ላይ ሮጧል። እንደሚታወሰው ባለፈው ቅዳሜ በተካሄደው ውድድር 10000 ሜትር ላይ ሮጧል። በሪሁ አረጋዊ 22 ዓመቱ ነው። ገና ወጣት አትሌት ነው። 22 ዓመቱ ነው። አንድ ጊዜ ዳይመንድ ሊግ አሸናፊ ነው። ቶፕ 8 ኦሎምፒክ ጌም ላይ ጨርሷል። ቶፕ 8 ወርልድ ሻምፒዮንሺፕ ላይ ጨርሷል። ወርልድ ክሮስ ካንትሪ አንድ ጊዜ አሸናፊ ነው በሪሁ አረጋዊ። እንግዲህ ይሄም የተሻለ ልምድ ያለው ይመስላል። ብዙ ውድድሮች ላይ ተሳትፏል። የዓለም ሻምፒዮንሺፕ፣ ኦሎምፒክ ላይም ተሳትፏል። እንግዲህ በዘንድሮ ዓመት ምርጥ ሰዓት ካላቸው አትሌቶች እና በወርልድ አትሌቲክስ አንደኛ ላይ የሚያመለክተው የእሱ ሰዓት ነው። ሌላኛው ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ ነው። ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ ይህንንም ልጅ ለረጅም ጊዜ እናውቀዋለን። 26 ዓመቱ ነው። ለረጅም ጊዜ ሀገሩን በተለያዩ ውድድሮች ወክሎ ሮጧል። አንድ ጊዜ ዳይመንድ ሊግ አሸናፊ ነው። አንድ ጊዜ የብር ሜዳሊስት ነው ወርልድ ሻምፒዮንሺፕ ላይ። 2 ጊዜ ወርልድ ኢንዶር ሻምፒዮን ነው። አንድ ጊዜ ደግሞ ኦሎምፒክ ጌም ላይ ቶፕ 8 ሆኖ ጨርሷል ማለት ነው። ይሄ የሚጠበቅ አትሌታችን ነው። እንግዲህ ካሉን 3 አትሌቶች 3ቱም ወደ ቀጣዩ እና ወደ መጨረሻው ውድድር ያልፋሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። አም ግን ይሄ አወዛጋቢ ነው። እንግዲህ ትናንት አንድ አትሌት ቡዳፔስት ድረስ ሄዶ እንደተቀነሰ በሶሻል ሚዲያ ሼር ሲያደርግ ነበረ ሀሳቡን፣ ቅሬታውንም ሲያሰማ ነበረ። ግን አሁን ከሚሮጡት አትሌቶች መካከል እንግዲህ 3 መያዝ ብቻ ስለሚቻል 3ቱን የኢትዮጵያ አትሌቲክስ ፌዴሬሽን መርጦ አስገብቷል ማለት ነው። እንግዲህ የምናይ ይሆናል። ዛሬ የምንሳተፍበት ውድድር ይሄ ብቻ ነው የሚሆነው። በስድስተኛው ቀን ውሎ በቡዳፔስት አሬና በሚካሄደው የዓለም አትሌቲክስ ሻምፒዮን እንግዲህ በደረጃ ሰንጠረዡ ኢትዮጵያ ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ ሀገራችን 4ኛ ነው የምትገኘው። ከአፍሪካ አንደኛ ነች። ከአፍሪካ ኢትዮጵያ አንደኛ ነች። እንግዲህ እስኪ ውጤቱን እያየን የማደርሳችሁ ይሆናል። በቀጥታ አብራችሁኝ እንድትሆኑ እና ድምፄ እንደሚሰማ ኮንፈርም ብታደርጉኝ ይሰማል ብትሉ ኮሜንት ላይ አሪፍ ነበረ። እና ውድድሩ ሊጀመር አሁን የቀረው 15 ደቂቃ ነው። የመጀመሪያ ውድድር 5000 ሜትር ውድድር ይሆናል። እና እዚህ ውድድር ላይ የተለያዩ አትሌቶችን እናሳትፋለን። 3 አትሌቶች አሉን። እንግዲህ አብራችሁኝ እንድትሆኑ በአክብሮት ጠይቃለሁ። እስኪ አንድ ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት እንግዲህ ብዙ ጊዜ ብዙ ውድድሮች ላይ እናውቀዋለን። ግን በትልልቅ ውድድሮች ላይ ይሄ 5000 ሜትር እንግዲህ ከቀነኒሳ በቀለ ወዲህ ያ የኢብራሂም ጄላን እና የሙክታር ኢድሪስ በኋላ 5000 ሜትሩን አሸንፈን አናውቅም። እንግዲህ በዘንድሮ ዓመት ካለው ሰዓት አንጻር ግምቱ ኢትዮጵያዊው አትሌት በርሆ አለማየሁ የተሻለ ሰዓት አለው እና እሱ የተሻለ ነገር ያደርጋል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። እንግዲህ እዚህ ውድድር ላይ ሌሎች አትሌቶችም አሉ። የ10,000 ሜትር አሸናፉ ኡጋንዳዊው ጆሹዋ ቼፕቴጋይ አለ። እንግዲህ ይሄ አደገኛ ሯጭ ነው። ኡጋንዳዊው አትሌት ጆሹዋ ቼፕቴጋይ 12:41:61 አለው። ሌላኛው የሚጠበቀው እዚህ ላይ እነ ጃኮብሰን እንገብረንሰንም 1500 ላይ ትናንት ሁለተኛ ላይ ወጣው ጃኮብሰን እንገብረንሰን አለ። የኖርዌያዊው አስደናቂ 1500 ሯጭ እንግዲህ እዚህ ውድድር ላይ የሚጠበቅ ነው የሚሆነው። ጃኮብሰን ገብረንሰን አስደናቂ የሆነ ሩጫን በቀላሉ የሚሮጥ አትሌት ነው ጃኮብሰን ገብረንሰን። እሱም አለ እንግዲህ አደገኛ ፉክክር ይታይበታል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። እንግዲህ ሯጮቻችን ወደ ቀጣዩ ዙር ያልፋሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። አሁን ውድድሩ ሲጀመር ወደ ቀጥታ ላይቭ እንትኑን ማስገባችሁ ማለት ነው። እስከዛ አሁን ውድድሩ ሊጀመር እንግዲህ አሁን የቀረው እንግዲህ አሁን 10 ደቂቃዎች ነው። 10 ደቂቃዎች ቀርተውታል ውድድሩ ሊጀመር። አስር ደቂቃዎች ብቻ ናቸው የቀሩት። ከየት ነው ይሄ ሙዚቃ የመጣብኝ? ያዕቆብሰን ገብረንሰን ኦኬ ወደዚህ ሙዚቃ እንሄዳለን። አሁን ውድድሩ ሊጀምር 5 ደቂቃዎች ብቻ ቀርተውታል። የ5 ደቂቃ ጊዜ ብቻ ነው የቀረው። የማጣሪያ ውድድር ነው። የ5000 ሜትር በ3 አትሌቶች ነው የምንወከለው። ላይቭ ፊድ ላይቭ አስተላልፈዋለሁ። እስኪ
he had a balance issue clearing the barrier and landing onto the track, and that's when you get caught, because typically when you alternate you go a lot higher over the hurdle with your less dominant leg. On your good leg it's smooth like butter. You hit it, you step over it, snap back down. The alternate leg is always wonky.
Funny enough, I was taught by a Japanese hurdles coach that actually working on your non-dominant side can be helpful dominant side.
Because the timing, and that's one of the things in which I've been trying to coax rides to possibly do more. You know, I send little messages to him. But one thing about when you're going to alternate your steps, you have to really do it in practice so you can fall, get back up, and get your timing together. And so when you get major races like this, it's all about execution. If you happen to run up on the hurdle, you just step over with the best dominant leg.
And is he making those decisions ahead of the race to change the number of strides, or is that done in the moment?
In the moment.
Wow!
But if you do something over and over again, it really doesn't surprise you. One of the things as an intermittent hurdler, what you do practice on is ascending and descending, and basically it means that your stride length is going to change as you approach the 35 meters between each hurdle. However, you can have a quick stride or a floating stride. So you know, like you mentioned earlier, that it looked like athletes open up their stride like they're overstepping. You can do that, but if your turnover is really on top, you can take shorter steps and get to the hurdle a lot faster because your frequency is there. That's something that I did in the semis when I went 11 steps, not knowing that I went 11. I ran so fast, I just got up on the hurdle, and it was like, okay, split second decision, bam, alternate. And I didn't know I did it until I was reminded of it.
That's what greatness looks and sounds like, by the way.
And I see that's what Carson was going to be dealing with in that last race. Well, 2 races.
The reason we love having Kevin Young in the house is not only is he an athletics legend, but he loves athletics just as much as when he was competing here. But the athletes are getting ready and ready to go. They are coming out into this amazing auditorium. Expect this to fill up by the time that the action really gets underway in about 30 minutes or so. We saw the man there, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, redemption possible for him after the incredible performance by Josh Kerr. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because the athletics tonight is just getting started. chicken royale, please.
Only $2.99.
What's the point of rewards that aren't rewarding?
Sit. Good girl.
Pick your own reward when you buy your car, home or van insurance at confused.com.
በአሁኑ ሰዓት እንግዲህ አትሌቶቹ ወደ ሜዳው ገብተዋል። በቀጥታ የማስተላለፍላችሁ ይሆናል። የመጀመሪያው ዙር ላይ ሀጎስ ገብረሕይወት ይጠበቃል ማለት ነው። ሀጎስ ገብረሕይወትን እናሳትፋለን በመጀመሪያው ዙር ላይ። አሁን ማስታወቂያ
Good evening, day 6 of the World Athletics Championships in Budapest. We've got 2 field finals, the men's long jump and women's hammer. As you can see, this is the schedule coming up. So the men's long jump gets underway in about half an hour's time, and the women's hammer around 8:30 CET. That's 7:30 UK time. You can knock an hour off of all of these times. The women's 110 meters hurdle final, the men's 400 meter final, including Matt Hudson-Smith of Great Britain and Femke Vold in the women's 400 meter hurdles. This is the medal table as things stand after 6 and a bit days of competition. United States top with 14 medals overall, 7 golds. That's 3 clear of Spain. All of those gold medals for Spain, all those medals for Spain coming in the race walk after Alvaro Martin and Maria Perez added 35k titles to their 20k goals this morning. And Great Britain third. There's been critics around the team selection, but they've delivered so far, and Matt Hudson-Smith will try and add that tonight. But first on the track, the heats of the men's 5,000 metres. So we're missing a big star, Martin.
Yeah, indeed. Joshua Cheptegei, the winner of the 10,000 metres at the weekend, has pulled out, sent out a message earlier today. He said he has a little bit of a foot injury. So Cheptegei is not starting in this first heat. So this is the first heat in the men's 5,000 metres. No need for your watches here. It's the first 8 in each of these heats who will qualify for the final. Let's go through the lineup there. You can see confirmation of that news about Joshua Cheptegei. Cheptegei, of course, not only the reigning world champion at the longer distance, but also the world record holder at this.
6 for the USA, Abdi Nur.
Couple of Americans. There's Abdi Nur.
Joshua Cheptegei is a withdrawal, so we go to lane 8 where a man has run 12.
We've got a couple of Kenyans here. Nicholas Kipkoria, a 12:46 man.
Nicholas Kipkoria is the European silver medalist.
So Mohamed Katir of Spain,
Mohamed Katir,
hoping to rediscover some of his best form. Paul Chilimo.
the former World Championship silver medalist for Ethiopia.
Well, there's Hagos Gebrehiwet, the Ethiopian who seems to have been around for years. Actually made his first big championship final 11 years ago. That was at the Olympic Games in London. Navi Nordas of Norway. So we actually have a couple of Norwegians in this heat. And there's that fella, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, defending champion in this event. But as he did last year, coming into the 5,000 metres, having been beaten at the 1,500.
At 16 for Spain, it's
It's a big field. There are 21, even with the withdrawal of Joshua Cheptegei. There's Jimmy Gressier of France. He appears in these championships seemingly on an annual basis. Same passes there of Germany, one from the outside, and Mike Hoppen of the Netherlands. Those who are keen watchers of the marathon will recognise this name, and in itself it serves to illustrate just how long and successful career he's had. Eliud Kipchoge is the championship record holder. Set that record in winning this title 20 years ago at the Stade de France, which of course will be hosting the Olympic Games track and field competition next summer. So it is one of the Americans, Abdi Noor, who goes straight to the front. Jimmy Gressier of France, who knows that he needs a decent honest pace if he is to stand a chance of qualifying. Two Kenyans, quite well separated. The two Americans right at the front though, with Paul Chilimo running alongside Abdi Noor. And at the moment, well, they're bouncing up on their toes. It is Kemboy there, going nicely. Cornelius Kemboy, who has run very close to 13 minutes this year. Just to give you some idea of the pace, that's a 66-second lap. Now, if they were to average 64-second laps, they would come through in something like 13:20. So 64-second laps barely get you inside 14 minutes, although I think it's reasonable to assume that the pace will be cranked up fairly soon.
As you know, they've changed the qualifications this year. You mentioned the top 8 are going through, so it's not based on time. And the hope was that, well, maybe not the hope, but it was, you didn't want to end up in a situation where the athletes in the second heat could simply look at the times from the first heat and almost make a collective agreement to simply run quickly to get as many fastest qualifiers from that heat. So what they're trying to do is just eliminate any sort of luck of the draw by being taken in the second heat. But we see that Ingebrigtsen has decided to do what he did in the semi, which is go straight to the back instead of out on the front.
And it does mean, of course, that even in the heats, it's all about racing. It is when we get to the final. The clock essentially doesn't matter. That lap there in just inside 70 seconds. So it's actually getting slower and slower, but it's Chilimo out in front. Then you can see Jimmy Gressier of France, the second of the Norwegians there, quite well back. He's only got about 6 or 7 men behind him. I must say, it was very interesting to listen to Kevin Young there. For those who are perhaps not terribly switched on to the 400-metre hurdles, half of that was in a different language, talking about all sorts of various things. You know, when he was talking about, what was he calling, something quarters? That was a flat 400 to you and me. He was talking about stride patterns and alternate legs and all this sort of stuff. It was all very interesting. The man, of course, who broke the world record and took the Olympic crown 31 years ago on the top of Montjuic there in Barcelona, one of the greatest venues we've ever seen the Olympic Games at. Really, it was a tremendous place, and that was it certainly was an occasion when the Olympics were very much a force for good, because Barcelona's at full advantage and used it to seriously rejuvenate parts of the city.
Isn't it great that when we get experts within each of the events, because one of the unique things about athletics is that it is almost like these mini sports within a sport, and to be an expert across every single one is incredibly difficult.
So Chilimo out in front, Gressier there in second place, Noor in third, so Americans 1 and 3. Romays there of Spain is in about 4th spot, and you can see there the second of the Spaniards right at the back at the moment. It's Mohamed Katia. And in fact, there's one man behind him. He's a rather significant figure. Running the race, I suppose, almost in terms of tactically, the complete antithesis of last night. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who took the pace out early.
We've got 2 people at the back, haven't you, with about disappointing 1,500 metres by their standards. Ingebrigtsen obviously targeting gold. Mohamed Katia didn't even make the final, and that was a pretty big shock in itself.
አሁን ውድድሩ እንደቀጠለ ይገኛል። የቴክኒክ ብልሽት ነው ያጋጠመን። አሁን ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት እዚህ ውድድር ላይ ይሳተፋል። ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት እንግዲህ በመጀመሪያው ምድብ ላይ ነው የተመደበው። በዚህኛው ስክሪን ስሎ ነው። በጣም ቀዝቃዛ አጀማመር ነው ያደረጉት በመጀመሪያው 4 ደቂቃ። በጣም ቀዝቀዝ ያለ አጀማመር ነው እያየን ያለነው። ሆኖም ግን በቀላሉ ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት ከዚህ ምድብ ላይ ያልፋል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። አሁን የተሻለ ሰዓት ነው ያለው ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት። እዚህ ምድብ ላይ ሌላኛው ጆሹዋ ቼፕቴጋ ያለ ኡጋንዳዊው የ10,000 ሜትር አሸናፊው ጆሹዋ ቼፕቴጋ እዚህ ውድድር ላይ ይጠበቃል። እንግዲህ በቀላሉ ይሄን ውድድር ያልፋል ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። እሱም ሌላኛው ፖል ቼሊሞ ባለ ልምዱ ፖል ቼሊሞ አሜሪካን ወክሎ አለ። እና አብዱልሐሚድ ኑር ዩኤስኤን ወክሎ ሌላኛው የሚሮጥ አትሌት ነው ማለት ነው። አሁን ትንሽ የቴክኒክ ብልሽት የገጠማቸው ይመስላል። ላይቭ ስትሪሙ ተቋርጧል። የሁሉም ላይቭ ስትሪም ተቋርጧል። ሆኖም ግን ቀጥታ እንደመጣ ወደ እናንተ የማደርስላችሁ ይሆናል። ቀጥታ
ስለኛል ውድና
ላይቭ ስትሪሙ እንደመጣ ወደ እናንተ የማደርስላችሁ ይሆናል።
ይሄ 5
ላይቭ ስትሪሙ እንደመጣ ወደ እናንተ የማደርስላችሁ ይሆናል። ኦኬ ያ አሁን ላይቭ ስትሪሙ ተመልሷል።
Tonight, that's Will Williams, the United States, out of Chicago, Illinois, one of 2 Team USA guys in the long jump final. Will be joined by Marquise Dendy out of Middletown, Delaware, longest long jumper wearing a cap in competition. But Trey, they're going to go up against the best in the world. It'll be a big fight, and that runway over on the far side of the track has been a launch pad in qualifying.
Yeah, you could just see it all day during qualifying and with the women's long jump competition, the speed that these athletes are able to produce. This surface is so fast. But the Olympic champ, Miltiades Tintoglu, was down to his 3rd attempt, sitting outside of the top 12 that are here tonight. And Clutch Mr. Jumps puts one out there to secure a spot here tonight. He is a medal stealer.
And then the Jamaican Wayne Pinnock, coming off his sophomore season at Arkansas, had the longest jump in qualifying. Again, just a sophomore in college. A reminder that live coverage of the field events, jump after jump, including also the women's hammer, live on Peacock all night long.
Looking forward to that, guys. Thanks very much. As the men's 5,000 meters first heat continues, and we're getting down to the closing laps. As McSwain starts to make a move, he's now on the outside, getting himself up into the top 5 positions. Abdi Noor of Team USA is right there with Nicholas.
Running very, very wide, but Gebrewedt, one of the athletes that we have our eye on in this race. He's had such a fabulous season so far. Bronze in the 5,000 at the Rio Olympics, silver in 2013, bronze in 2015. He knows how to win these global medals. He's run twice under 60 minutes in a half marathon, so the distance won't be a problem here.
This is starting to be a bit more like it. 63 and a bit. Kip Korir has turned this into an honest pace. They're going to come round with 1,200 metres to go. Watch as well for Takaruji Mana of Burundi. He's wide on the outside, coming up onto Katir's shoulder. There's McSwain, Noor. You'll see their eyes flick up to the big screen. It's because we've got brilliant technology in the stadium, and there are massive LED screens at either end of the stadium that allow the athletes to see what's going on behind them. And McSwain had his heels clipped there and then has to run wide again. Total concentration needed in these tightly bunched groups of athletes.
Well, Gebruet, the Ethiopian, the athlete who's now moved himself around again, he went to the inside railing and then he put his hand down and gestured, "I'm coming out now." And athletes don't have to allow to move out of the way if an athlete does that. But Gebruet did that and he tried to come out, and Stuart McSwain, the Australian, has that long, rangy stride. He's taller than the rest of the athletes in the field, so he was the unfortunate athlete get clipped. And you can see him again in the middle of the pack. He's moving back as Nordas, the Norwegian, is the athlete making the move here on the outside.
That is a big acceleration from Nordas. He's perhaps realising that he's got to run the sting out of the finish of some of these athletes. He almost outdid Jakob Ingebrigtsen, his good friend. Oh, Ingebrigtsen had to step on the inside, and we lost someone there. Stuart McSwain
has gone down, and the German athlete was severely affected, Parsons as well. Poor Stuart McSwain's not having a great championships.
That is such a shame. I watched him time and again having to put his elbows out. He forced Ingebrigtsen to run on the infield. I don't think that'll cause a problem because it wasn't his fault. So, Nordas made a big move to the front, but now he finds himself boxed in with Noor leading. Nordas has got Katir outside him, and outside him is Gebri Hiwot, who really has rediscovered a fabulous vein of form. But Swain is out of your picture, running as hard as he can. So too Parsons. There is always half a chance they'll get advanced to the final. But let's focus on those coming round now to try and get their hand on one of these 8 automatic spots. This is going to be an almighty burn-up on the last lap. Gebri Hiwot there, the Ethiopian who got the medal 10 years ago in Moscow, takes it on. This is the last lap of the opening heat of the 5,000 metres, and what a burst of acceleration. Nordas going wide on the outside. Katir and Umais, the 2 Spaniards. Remember, it's only 8 guaranteed a place. Ingebrigtsen, the reigning champion, is following that big group of lead athletes at the moment. Nordas sprinting for all he's worth. Ingebrigtsen coming wide on the outside. Katir wants to make absolutely certain he's in this final because he should have been in the final of the 15 and missed out. This is more like it for the Spaniard. Katir looks fine. Ingebrigtsen and Nordas. Really good running from Gebri Hiwot. Katir, Gebri Hiwot, Ingebrigtsen, Umais also made it. Gressier, I think, was okay. Chalimo was having to rock and roll towards the line. Kemboy missed out. Stewie McSwain and Parsons finishing a long way behind the rest because they both fell. We'll have to wait and see if they get advanced to the final. Well, good work by Ingebrigtsen there, coming up wide on the outside, and Gebri Hiwot's also there, and it's good that Katir has made the final after missing out in the 15, but that was tough. They left it so late, and it really did turn into an almighty burn-up for those top 8 spots.
It did, and I think the Swedish athlete Almgren is going to be the unlucky one that misses out. Chalimo finished like a steam train at the end, but definitely knew that Katir was going to prove something. He would have been so disappointed after the 1500, and he really did want to prove something. So Chalimo's come from the back there. He's pushed Nordas even out of that last dip, and I think it's going to be Almgren, the one who will be super unlucky, the Swedish athlete, to miss out there on the top 8.
Well, there was all sorts going on there in that opening heat of 2. Still waiting in the stadium. At the moment, there's the fall, yeah.
Oh, I think Stuart McSwain's going to be reinstated here because there's nothing he could do about that. When the German athlete Parsons tripped over, he fell straight, really heavy fall for him. And then Stuart McSwain's had to jump, he's fallen flat, and then Ingebrigtsen, who of course Stuart McSwain...
ያ በመጀመሪያው ዙር በተካሄደው ውድድር ሀጎስ ገብረሕይወት ሁለተኛ ወጥቷል። ሀጎስ ገብረሕይወት ሁለተኛ ወጥቶ ወደ ቀጣዩ ዙር አልፏል። በእያንዳንዱ ምድብ ላይ ከ1 እስከ 8 የሚወጡ አትሌቶች ወደ ፍጻሜ ውድድር የሚያልፉ ይሆናል። ሀጎስ ገብረሕይወት እንግዲህ ሁለተኛ ወጥቶ አጠናቋል። ቀጣዩ የሚሆነው ሁለተኛው ምድብ ላይ የሚገኙት በሪሁ አረጋዊና ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ የሚሳተፉበት ውድድር ነው። እዚህ ላይም በቀላሉ ያልፋሉ ተብሎ ይጠበቃል። ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት ወደ ቀጣዩ ዙር አልፏል ማለት ነው። በሪሁ አረጋዊ ፈጣኑ ሰዓት ያለው በዓለማችን በዚህ ዓመት እሱ ነው። 12:40:45 ነው፣ አንደኛ ነው ከዓለም። እዚህ ውድድር ላይ እንጠብቀዋለን ማለት ነው። ግን ማጣሪያዎቹን በቀላሉ እንደሚያልፍ ይጠበቃል። ሁለተኛው ዙር እስከሚጀምር አንዳንድ መረጃዎችን ላቀብላችሁ ስለ አትሌቶቹ እንዴት እዚህ እንደደረሱ። ቀጣይ ላይ ያለው በሪሁ አረጋዊ ነው። 12:40:45 የግል ሰዓቱ ነው። የዚህ ዓመት የሮጠው 12:40:45 ነው። ከዓለም አንደኛ ነው ማለት ነው በሪሁ አረጋዊ። በሪሁ አረጋዊ እንግዲህ በ10,000 ሜትር ተወዳድሮ አራተኛ መውጣቱ ይታወሳል፣ ባለፈው ቅዳሜ በተካሄደው ውድድር ላይ። ሌላኛው ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ ነው። ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ 26 ዓመቱ ነው። የተለያዩ ውድድሮች ላይ የምናውቀው ሯጭ ነው ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ። ሌላኛው በሪሁ አረጋዊ ነው። በሪሁ አረጋዊ እንግዲህ 22 ዓመቱ ነው። የተለያዩ ውድድሮች ላይ ተሳትፏል። ብዙ ልምዶች አሉት። በዚህ ዓለም ፈጣኑን ሰዓት ያስመዘገበው አትሌት ይሄ ነው። ፈጣኑ ሰዓትን ያስመዘገበው በሪሁ አረጋዊ ነው። 10,000 5,000 ላይ የሚሳተፍ አትሌት ነው። በ10,000 ሜትር አራተኛ ነው የወጣው። በዚህ ውድድር እንግዲህ ፈጣኑ ሰዓት ያለው እሱ ነው። ለዛም ወደ 5,000 ሜትር ተሳትፏል ማለት ነው። አሁን ሁለተኛው ዙር ካሜራዎቹ በሙሉ እንዳለ በሪሁ አረጋዊ ናቸው። ወደ ቪዲዮ መልሳችኋለሁ። ውድድሩ እንዳለቀ እመለሳለሁ ማለት ነው። ወደ ቪዲዮ መልሳችኋለሁ።
What a likeable fella Mohammed is. I shared a cab ride with him to the airport in Ottawa after watching him run the 10K over there. Such a nice guy. Ran okay in the 10,000 metres, was 6th. And listen to the reception for Ferenc Kovacs. Oh, he won't forget tonight in a hurry. European Junior Steeplechase bronze medalist having a little high five with Mohammed.
Oscar Chelimo got a bronze last year.
Dico Wanaya of Spain. He's in around sort of 13-20 territory, might need to go quicker. McDonald, NCAA champion a few years ago, indoors and out, the Australian. Ismail, national record holder for Djibouti, 3:38 man over the 15. Race is a 6-time national champion for Switzerland. And then to the second line, Emil Danielson was advanced to the semis of the 15 because he fell in the heats. 3:34, not enough to take him through to the final. Hugo Hayes had a season disrupted by COVID. Gravalia, good athlete from Guatemala. Watch for Miri, the other Norwegian, and then McGaughty, 12th in the 10,000 metres with Hendricks, World Student Games bronze medalist a few years ago for Belgium on the outside. There's Danielson, whose father was 10th in the 5,000 in Seoul in 1988. Apples never fall far from the tree. So, a world-class lineup of 22 men, 8 of them will be joining Jakob Ingebrigtsen, and a fabulous collection of athletes who came through the first of the heats in Sunday night's final. Dance music pumping, crowd roaring. It's exactly what we've enjoyed so far over the first 5 nights, as we now turn our attention to day 6. Looks like that's Gravalia coming over. Guatemalan, 12th in Tokyo. He was really close to a podium finish last year in Eugene. Interesting athlete, the Guatemalan, because he lives in the United States, but for some reason he's been deemed an unofficial resident of the United States. So masses of paperwork has to be filled out on his behalf in order for him to be able to compete internationally. And a lot of people have helped him do that, and he's repaid them by becoming a world-class athlete, because he was there or thereabouts, the Guatemalan.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, 12:52, which is his PB now, national record, he's in the conversation.
Yeah, there was a documentary that you could watch, and he spoke about how grateful he was to the team that he's got around him. He grew up in the USA, but he was born in Guatemala. He moved when he was just 1 year of age. He's tough. You see training sessions that he does, and he's just tough. He's coached by Mike Smith, and he wants to show that 2022 is not a one-hit wonder. He wants to come out here and prove that he's an athlete that belongs at this level, and he's certainly taking this race to the rest of the field by leading them through early. From Sean McGordy, the USA athlete, the 28-year-old who trains with the Bowerman Track Club. He was a steeplechaser as well, and he had a sacral stress fracture, tweaked his calf. He's had a horrible start to the season, but got it right by the US Championships, a fabulous US Championships it was. And he's sitting there in second, the American athlete.
He's light on his feet, Gravalia. No Ahmed just in that middle of that group, and Henrik Ingebrigtsen there, no move yet from Hugo Hay or Oscar Chalimo, who's second from the right-hand side. Chalimo, World Junior Mountain Running champion. A lot of good mountain runners from Uganda. No Joshua Cheptegei, just to confirm, he is the reigning Olympic champion. He went 3 in a row on the 10,000 meters, maybe felt just a little tweak in his left foot. So I don't know whether he's already flown back to Uganda or whether he's preparing for more Diamond League action, but he's got his gold and he's on his way, which creates an opportunity for someone else perhaps to get a medal. I love Yomif Kajelcha, by the way, the Ethiopian just in the middle of that group behind the distinctive kit of the Australian. There he is. He's such a good athlete, Kajelcha. You get the feeling, Tamsin, that over the last few years, he's been so good. 3,000 indoors, 10,000, 5,000. He's almost a victim of his own flexibility, because you can't quite work out what his best event is. He's a double world indoor champion over the 3,000. He's a world outdoor medalist over the 10. Interesting that he's fresh for the 5. Maybe the 12 and a half laps is his distance.
Well, as you said, that Gravalia's got that wonderful relaxed shoulders, no tension at all. You can see he's even sitting backwards a little bit. You'd rather see him with a bit of a forward lean here, but he's putting no effort in, even though he is at the front of the train there. But you're right, Kajelcha is probably a victim of being just too talented, if you can possibly say that. He's not only talented on the track. Did you see that he walked in the Paris Fashion Week as well? He's such a character. And you see him at the minute he's off the screen. He's about to come through behind the Kenyan athletes there. He's very, very wide, and he's looking around, and it's almost pedestrian now.
That's incredible. There is Kajelcha. Good work by the camera crews just to single him out. The first time I saw Kajelcha, he's actually having a conversation. Look at that. It's for you and I, that's an 8-minute miling Sunday morning jog before we start thinking about the last session. He's turned to him there. He's having a full-blown conversation towards the back of the field. The first time I ever saw Kajelcha was when I was in Nanjing for the Youth Olympics in 2014. And even then, you could just tell that he was a young man of unbelievable ability. He floated round the track. He's in the middle of the pack there with a 71 plus bits lap. Not interested in the pace. And Chalimo coming past the Ethiopian now, wearing the distinctive Ugandan top, just trying to pay closer attention as the brilliantly named Robin Hendricks with an X is at the front now ahead of Gravalia. There is Oscar Chalimo, got a bronze medal last year.
He also hasn't run a 5,000 this year, which is interesting. His older brother, Jacob Kiplimo, who's pulled out of these championships, was an Olympic medalist and world cross-country gold in that Bathurst race earlier in the year. He's looking good, and he's wanting this pace to be a little bit faster than it was about 500 metres ago, where they definitely did put on the brakes in Kajelcha. What was he saying to his fellow countryman Aragawi? What would you have to say in the middle of a World Championships heat? But they did split up after they had that chat, the Ethiopians.
I reckon he was saying, I can't believe how slow this is. And that's probably why that's more like it. 66 a bit. So the previous marker we had was just a shade inside 72 seconds. This one's much quicker, and they'll spread out reasonably quickly here, which is presumably why Chalimo went to the front. Although having said that, he's positioned himself right on the outside again as Hendricks with that. It's almost like a Timothy Cherian forward lean from Hendricks with Gravalia on his shoulder. Just a little bit of an update if you were watching in the first of the 5,000 heats. Poor old Stewie McSwain and Sam Parsons of Germany, McSwain the Australian, flat on their faces. McSwain missed out on an automatic place, as he did in the 1500, but the Australian has been advanced to the 5,000 metre final. So we will have a field of 17, not 16. McSwain upgraded to the World Championship final, and probably rightly so.
Definitely, because there was nothing you could do about that. And he is a quality athlete, and it's a good argument to say that he did have potential to make that final. Now, for anyone who was watching and did see what Chalimo did and wondered why did he do that, he's gone to the front, he's injected that pace, he didn't want to do the work for the rest of the race, and he's gone back into the middle of the pack. He would have done that to make sure that the pace didn't drift to being pedestrian and slow, and he's exactly got his wish. He's not leading it, but the pace has definitely picked up, with Hendricks now leading the athletes through at a better tempo than we had before.
Well, it needed to speed up a little bit, which is probably why Aragawi and Yomif Kajelcha were locked in conversation. There's Henrik Ingebrigtsen, 13th in the 5,000 metres a few years ago in Doha. Remember how blisteringly hot it was there. Kendrick's leading. At the moment, the field just, well, they're coming back together again. I thought Chalimo, when he ran that 66.5, I thought the field were going to split pretty quickly, but he returns to the middle of the group. McGaughty up there for the United States. Kropp and Kip Karui. Kropp, remember, got a silver medal last year. Kip Karui, a very, very good athlete, reigning world junior cross-country champion. And little by little, you know, Tammy, we're getting to that stage where there's going to be another 4 or 5 lap burn-up for the 8 places.
Agree. Now, Kropp here on the outside, looking up the big screen, he looks beautifully poised. He was raised by a single mum, second born in the family of 4. He was so poor. He was rescued from cattle rustlers. And he hasn't had a lot of races this year, a lot less than last year, because he felt like when he got to the championships, he was flat. So he's come in with a different preparation, Kropp, and he looks wonderfully poised and relaxed and smooth. On the shoulder of Gravalia, he looks like he's just about to make that move.
Very good athlete, Kropp. 8th fastest in the world this year. Yet another athlete down in the mid-1240s. Kajelcha out on Kropp's shoulder. He's got the thigh bib 8. We've got Hendricks on the near side. 1 or 2 beginning to struggle. 2 Norwegians drifting off the back of that big group. No move yet from Hugo Hay, European under-23 silver medalist at 5,000 and cross-country, but his season has been disrupted by COVID. He's towards the front of the group, but very much boxed in on the inside. If you're looking straight in a line, Kip Karui, Ismail of Djibouti, and then it's Hay right on the inside. No move yet either from Danielsson of Sweden. He's in the middle of that group. I'm just keeping my eye on Kajelcha and Aragawi. Aragawi, as I said, he would have been really disappointed to finish fourth in that 10,000. I thought on paper he was the one who might deny Joshua Cheptegei a successful title defence. But when Cheptegei put the hammer down on the last lap, it was Borrega who went with him. Aragawi faded to fourth, and Aragawi there just gave Kajelcha the tiniest little shove in the back, and they've now Kajelcha's done the same. So I wonder whether they were having a discussion about whether either of them should go to the front. So interesting exchanges between the two Ethiopians.
Well, Aragawi definitely did crowd Krop and Kajelcha, and he's the one who is now taking up the front position. He's moving around the shoulder of Krop, and it looks like they really do want to start to wind this race up. The other Kenyan athlete, Kip Kurui, he ran that under-20 World Cross Country in Bathurst and won at 18 years of age. He doesn't have the experience. He was fourth in the Kenyan trials, but he's gotten this race because Daniel Simiu decided to run the 10,000 metres here. So lucky to get his spot on the team, but he's giving it all. That Kenyan, the smaller of the Kenyans stuck on the inside railing there. Just 18 years of age.
Really exciting prospect, Kip Kurui, the reigning world junior cross-country champion, down on your turf in Bathurst. What a big lap that was. 60 seconds from Aragawi. Ahmed just having a little look round to see who's there. Great performer, double global medalist over the 5,000 metres. The Canadian there just running in around about fifth place, with Kwazira from Burundi just on his shoulder. Krop on the inside. Aragawi stretching them out, which was exactly his intention, with a 60-second lap. Coming round now with 800 metres to go. This is more like it. Kajelcha now beginning to stretch and give us a glimpse of that long loping stride. And it's Ethiopia 1 and 2 with the Guatemalan Guevara in third place, and Mohamed paying very close attention to what's going on up ahead, because there are no non-automatic spots.
ኦኬ አሁን የመጨረሻው ዙር ላይ ደርሰዋል። ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ አንደኛ ላይ ነው የሚገኘው። ዮሚፍ አንደኛና አራተኛ ወጥተዋል። አፈጻጸሙ ያስፈራ ነበረ። አንደኛ የወጣው ጓቲማላዊው ግራጅቫላም ነው። ቀጀልቻ ሁለተኛ ነው። አራተኛ አረጋዊ ወጥቷል። እዚህ ውድድር ላይ ተጠባቂው ኡጋንዳዊው ጆሹዋ ኬፕቸጋይ በጉዳት ምክንያት ወጥቷል ማለት ነው ከዚህ ውድድር እና ካሉን አትሌቶች እንግዲህ የተሻለ ውጤት እንጠብቃለን። በፍጻሜ ውድድር ካሰለፍናቸው 3 አትሌቶች እንግዲህ ሁሉም አልፈዋል። ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት የመጀመሪያው ምድብ ላይ 13:36:15 ገብቶ አልፏል። በሁለተኛው ምድብ ላይ የተሳተፉት ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ እና በሪሁ አረጋዊ ወደ ፍጻሜው መቀላቀላቸውን አረጋግጠዋል ማለት ነው። መጨረሻ ላይ አጨራረስ ላይ ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ ይመቸኛል፣ ግን አጨራረስ ላይ ትንሽ ዙር ማክረር ምናምን ብቃት ነው እንጂ አጨራረስ ላይ ትንሽ ክፍተት ይታይበታል። ግን ይሄ ማጣሪያ ነው። የፍጻሜው ውድድር ላይ ማሸነፍ ያለብን ውድድር ነው። ካሉት አትሌቶች መካከል ጆሹዋ ኬፕቸጋይ ተጠባቂው ወርቁን ያነሷል ተብሎ የሚጠበቀው በጉዳት ምክንያት ወጥቷል። ከዚህ ውድድር ላይ ወጥቷል። ጆሹዋ ኬፕቸጋይ ከወጣ እንግዲህ የሚጠበቁት የኛ ልጆች ናቸው። 5000 ሜትር በጣም ፈጣን ነው። ሶስት አትሌቶችን አሳልፈናል። ሁሉም አልፈውልናል። በሪሁ አረጋዊ፣ ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻና ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት ወደ ቀጣዩ ዙርና ወደ ፍጻሜው ውድድር አልፈዋል። እንግዲህ ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ በዚህ አትሌቲክስ ውድድር ላይ ዛሬ ከምታደርገው ውድድር የመጨረሻውም የመጀመሪያውም የ5000 ሜትር ማጣሪያ ውድድር ነበረ። ይህም ተጠናቋል። እንግዲህ የዛሬው የኢትዮጵያ ውሎ በዚሁ ተጠናቋል። ነገ 7ኛው ቀን ላይ ከሰዓት አካባቢ እዚህ 800 ሜትር የግማሽ ፍጻሜ ሴቶች ላይ ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ በወርቅነሽ መሰለ ትወከላለች። እንግዲህ ቅዳሜ ደግሞ የማራቶን ውድድር አለ። እሱንም በቀጥታ የማስተላልፍላችሁ ይሆናል። ጠዋት ላይ ማራቶን ውድድር አለ እና የ5000 ሜትር የሴቶች ፍጻሜ ይካሄዳል። እዛ ውድድር ላይም እንገናኛለን ማለት ነው። በደረጃ ሰንጠረዡ እንግዲህ ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ 4ኛ ላይ ትገኛለች። ከዓለም ዩናይትድ ስቴትስ 1ኛ ነች፣ ስፔን 2ኛ፣ ግሬት ብሪቴን ኢትዮጵያ 4ኛ ነች፣ ከአፍሪካ 1ኛ ነች፣ ኬንያ ከአፍሪካ 2ኛ ነች፣ ትከተላታለች ማለት ነው። የዛሬው ውሎ እንግዲህ በዚሁ ተጠናቋል። ሶስቱም ያሳተፍናቸው አትሌቶች ማጣሪያውን ማለፍ ችለዋል። ሀጎስ ገብረህይወት፣ በሪሁ አረጋዊና ዮሚፍ ቀጀልቻ ወደ ቀጣዩ ዙር ሊያልፉ ችለዋል ማለት ነው። እኔም ፕሮግራሜን በዚሁ አጠናቅቄያለሁ። ነገ በሚካሄደው የ800 ሜትር ውድድር እንገናኝ። መልካም ቆይታ እመኛለሁ።